more money if it says yes. That just means the voters want us to keep it open in some fashion. Right. Yeah, so, if you ask me, I mean, they say, I mean, would raise revenue, neither. No, the referendum doesn't have anything to do with raising revenue.
Over there?
They would pay.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm calling the Winnebago County Board meeting to order. Tonight is Thursday, June 9th, 2022. I'd like to call up Chaplain Bunshu to come forward. He's going to give the invocation and pledge allegiance this evening. If we all can stand, please.
Thank you, everyone. Let us pray. Dear God, we want to thank you and praise you for your great love. I thank you for each of the Winnebago County Board members and ask that you would provide each of them with the wisdom and the guidance that they need tonight as they conduct the business of tonight's meeting on behalf of the people of Winnebago County. We pray and seek your blessings upon all who are gathered here and upon this meeting. We pray all of this, dear God, in accordance with your will. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Before we move forward, I'd like to read something for the board. I am deeply saddened to learn of the 5 Marines who were tragically killed Wednesday afternoon when their aircraft crashed in Southern California desert during a training exercise. Among those lives lost was a 21-year-old Marine Corporal Nathan Carlson of Machesney Park. Nathan was a 2019 Harlem High School graduate and a member of the school swim team before he fulfilled his dream of becoming a United States Marine. He leaves behind a wife, a loving family, and friends. He was also the nephew of our board member, Keith McDonald. Please keep the Carlson and McDonald families in your prayers during this difficult time. I would like to offer a moment of silence in memory of Nathan and his comrades who were taken from us far too soon. If you all could please stand for a moment of silence. Very good. Thank you. May we never forget their service to our country.
Semper Fi.
Mr. Thompson, are there any agenda announcements this evening?
No announcements, thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Gummow, can you please call the roll?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start with Mr. Hoffman.
Present.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Lindmark. Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McDonald. Mr. Neighbors. Mrs. Red. Mr. Salgado. Mr. Schultz. Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Tassoni. Mr. Webster. Mr. Westcott.
Present.
Mr. Arena. Mr. Booker.
Present.
Mr. Butita. Mrs. Crosby. Ms. Fellers.
Here.
Mr. Girl. Mrs. Gorel. Thank you all. Mr. Chairman, that is 17 board members present, 3 board members absent.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Tonight we have one award. It's the Chairman's Service Excellence Award. If Judge Lowry, if you could please come forward. So Judge Lowry is going to speak for a few minutes here. This award tonight is for William Vedra.
Bill, if you would step forward, please. Bill, be on the step. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity to recognize Bill Vedra for 40 years of dedicated service. Bill has been with the Juvenile Detention Center for 40 years and is set to retire June 25th. I'm proud and honored to be here to present him with this award. Bill served detention center in a variety of roles over the course of his career. He was promoted to superintendent in 2008. And over the course of his career, Bill demonstrated leadership, providing structure and guidance to court-involved youth. He also consistently sought to impact their lives in a positive way and to create opportunities for a more productive path. Bill's also been a leader in adopting new and innovative programs at the Juvenile Detention Center, including most recently, following our trip to Georgetown Law Center, a program called Ending Isolation. Bill is very innovative and helped implement that program, which is a pilot program and is going forward to this day. So, as a presiding juvenile juvenile delinquency judge from 2019 to 2021, I work closely with Bill, and I will always be grateful for Bill's unwavering support of the court system, the court process, and he always demonstrated a positive, upbeat, and pleasant demeanor, oftentimes during challenging times. It was a pleasure working with you, Bill. Bill helped me. I talked to him daily, multiple times a day, and I immediately found out that Bill is a can-do guy. He has tremendous leadership traits, a true professional. He went about his business never complaining, always striving to do the best, and always helpful and there for the court system. So we'll be forever indebted, Bill. 40 years is a long time in any job. To be out there at the JDC Detention Center for 40 years, every day, each and every day, in trying times, including COVID, staffing issues, all kinds of issues, budgetary. Bill got through them, and again, in a positive way, always with a smile. So, Bill, it's my honor today to present you with this award, which is well-deserved. And Bill, we're going to miss you. Not just your work ethic and the things you did for detention, but also just your pleasant demeanor and just always ready with a laugh and a smile. And you know, that's just hard to come by these days. So, Bill, God bless you, and you are blessed. And we've been blessed to be with you and around you during the course of your career serving Winnebago County. So please join me in congratulating Bill for a job well done. Bill Vedra.
Okay, this Chairman's Service Excellence Award is presented to William Vedra. I, Joseph E. Chiarelli, Chairman of the Winnebago County Board, hereby recognize William Vedra for his many years of outstanding service to the residents of Winnebago County. This award recognizes his many years of dedicated professionalism, integrity, and sustained commitment to excellence. William Vedra represents the very best values of the community and has served as a great example of what our community deserves in its public servants.
Thank you, Chairman and Chief Judge Lowry. As you can imagine, doing something for 40 years, you don't do it by yourself. I want to thank my family and also the great group of people that I've worked with at detention. I really appreciate the award and the recognition. Thank you.
This evening, we do not have any presentations or public hearing. We do have a couple speakers signed up for public participation. Let me read a statement first. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers may not address zoning matters which are pending before the ZBA, zoning committee, or the county board. Personnel matters or pending or threatened litigation may not be addressed in open session. An individual may speak a maximum of 3 times per calendar year on the same topic. This prohibition shall include the repetition of the same topic and a statement on what is purported to be a different topic. Personal attacks or inappropriate language of any sort will not be tolerated. Our first speaker is Reverend Earl Dotson, Sr. If you can come forward, please.
The Bible. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes. For there is a little bit of Job in all of us, challenging God until we realize that his ways transcend human understanding. For there is a little bit, as I said, in all of us. So you trust him. He changes circumstances to a magnitude almost beyond our understanding, as he is changing ours here in Rockford for our group, and you will see it, Rockford. You see, some people consider some of the group I'm working with and some of what we're doing, they consider us as adversaries, but we call you friends. You see, when Job prayed for his friends, God changed his circumstances, and he's changing ours. It is always appropriate, certainly in circumstances like this, to repeat the warning geared from the prophet Amos when he said, cultural assimilation results in political annihilation. And since politics and economics are flip sides of the same coin, so political annihilation follows economic annihilation. For I stand here disappointed by the response to the threat of nuclear war with Communist China. They are determined to invade Taiwan, as they have announced again last week. Yet, we complain of violence born of poverty and racism, refusing to listen to voices such as ours that we say we need to open church like church school for training with jobs in manufacturing that will pay $70,000 to $120,000 a year without a college degree, simultaneously lessening our dependence upon countries like China, an avowed enemy of the United States. I say this as I go to my seat. I quote these words from the Negro National Anthem. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the place, our God, where we met thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you, Reverend. Our next speaker is Brian Milkey. Come forward, please.
As a correctional officer, a lot of the time, if not all of the time, the job we do goes unnoticed. This is a well-documented truth that haunts our profession, especially during times of need. This could not be any clearer being a correction officer for Winnebago County. We have worked through and endured a worldwide pandemic. Sadly, many other agencies, some very near to home, have rewarded their brave men and women for their sacrifice and exposure during these trying times. Remember, correction officers don't have the choice to work from home. During the pandemic, funds have been given to the counties that can be used to reward these men and women. Winnebago County has received millions of dollars, and not one of them have been used to reward its frontline workers. Millions of dollars are generated by the work we do with the housing, transporting, and keeping federal inmates safe, along with all of the dangers that they present to us. These inmates are often the worst of the worst, having committed heinous crimes and bring with them an extensive history of violence and assaults towards staff and inmates while in federal custody. When federal agencies cannot handle these inmates, they dump them off on us. Talk about being unnoticed. The only thing noticed is the dollar amount that we are generating for you with these federal inmates and the work that comes with them. With a laughable economic proposal that has been given to us, it's pretty loud and clear that we will continue to go unnoticed in Winnebago County. There is a false perception that we as correctional officers are competitively paid. Not only are we at a 40-year high for inflation, a lot of employers have acknowledged this and have raised wages for their employees. This has been a must just to retain and attract employees. Let me tell you, in my 18 years of employment, we have been short-staffed more than not, and it has nothing to do with the pandemic. Retail, fast food, customer service, etc., are right on our tail starting wage-wise, with some already surpassing us. Again, talk about being unnoticed. Let me read you a few of the wages for correction officers in other counties close to ours. Keep in mind, Winnebago County starts at $22.33, and after 18 years, $30.88. Stevenson County, $22.18, after 11 years, $30.17. Boone County, $23.12, after 10 years, $30.77. Ogle County, $23.61, after 10 years, $34.38. Kane County, $24.74, at 10 years, $37.95. DeKalb County, $28.98, they max out at $40.94. And last but not least, McHenry County, who has been and is used as direct comparison to Winnebago County, starts at $27.39 compared to $22.33, and after 10 years, $46.17 compared to $30.88. That doesn't sound too competitive, does it? We ask for your support and recognition of who we are, what we bring, and what we do. So the question remains, will we continue to be unnoticed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
When they start getting the suits, when they start getting the suits.
This evening, we have 3 proclamations. Yeah. We're going to do June 19th. Yeah. All right, this proclamation is in recognition of Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Whereas Juneteenth, or Juneteenth National Freedom Day, commemorates the traditional observance of the end of slavery in the United States and is observed annually on June 19th. And whereas President Abraham Lincoln declared that in giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free, honorable alike in what we give and what we preserve. We shall nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope on earth. And on January 1st, 1863, using his war powers as president, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, providing that all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free. And whereas more than 2 years would pass before the news reached slaves living in Texas, when on June 19, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger and his regiment arrived in Galveston and spread the word that slavery had been abolished. And whereas the following year, the first official Juneteenth celebrations took place in Texas and have continued across the United States throughout the years since. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery, and since then, the state of Illinois, 47 other states, the District of Columbia, and the federal government have declared it an official holiday. And whereas Juneteenth is an important opportunity to honor the principles of the Declaration of Independence and celebrate the achievements and contributions of Black Americans that they have made and continue to make in Winnebago County and across our nation. Now, therefore, I, Joseph Shirelli, Chairman of the Winnebago County Board, do hereby proclaim the day of June 19th to be Juneteenth National Freedom Day in Winnebago County and urge all citizens to commemorate and celebrate June 19th as such. Here to receive the award is Mr. Tommy Leach. Acclamation.
I want to say thank you, especially to this body right here, this board. You guys have supported me through the years, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the support. Doing this event in Rockford for 32 years has been a blessing, and it's been a blessing to still be here, to be able to do it. I would like to invite you all out to come out to Juneteenth this year. We're doing 2 days at Mississippi Park, June 18th from 3 to 9, and June 19th from 11 to 9. You all are welcome. I've had people tell me, are white people welcome? They've always been welcome. They've always been welcome. You have to look at who freed the slaves. It was an effort to change my ancestors' lives. And there was always some good people that did that. And I want to say thank you to you guys for supporting me through all these years. And I want to thank the chairman and Dorothy Red and everybody else. Thank you very much.
Mr. Maffioli, Fran Nelson, if you could come forward, please. All right, the next proclamation is in recognition of Festa Italiana Days, August 5th through the 7th, 2022. Whereas Boylan Catholic High School is hosting the 43rd annual Festa Italiana on August 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2022. And whereas Festa Italiana is a celebration of Italian culture, entertainment, singing, dancing, crafts, and delicious food. And whereas it is the longest running and largest 3-day festival in Rockford, Illinois, organized with the help of countless volunteers and over 100 chair people. And whereas Festa Italiana is the largest fundraiser for the Greater Rockford Italian American Association, which raises funds for scholarships for area youth. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Joseph Shirelli, Chairman of the Winnebago County Board, do hereby proclaim August 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2022 is Festa Italiana Days in Winnebago County and urge all citizens to participate in this cultural celebration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, board members. I think the proclamation said it pretty nicely, so I'll just say thank you for your continued recognition and support. Thank you.
Our next proclamation is going to be read by board member Angela Fellers.
I'm joined by the executive board of the Liam Foundation. The Liam Foundation is a local group that does advocacy specifically for our trans community, but also has a lot of support network for the LGBTQ community in general. Alderman Mark Bonney sends his regrets. He was also supposed to be here this evening. As many of you know, Alderman Mark Bonney is the first openly gay elected official in Winnebago County, and so he was going to be here tonight, but he's not able to come. So. Whereas Winnebago County, Illinois cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom. And whereas all are welcome in Winnebago County to live, work, play, and every family in any shape deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas Winnebago County, Illinois denounces prejudice and unfair discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to our fundamental principles. And whereas Pride Month began in June of 1969 on the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, after LGBTQ+ and allied friends rose up and fought against the constant police harassment and discriminatory laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. And whereas Winnebago County, Illinois, appreciate the cultural, civic, and economic contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer plus community, which strengthen our social welfare. And whereas it is imperative that young people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas despite being marginalized, LGBTQ+ people continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Winnebago County Board declare the month of June 2022 as LGBTQ Pride Month in Winnebago County and urge all residents to recognize the contributions made by members of the LGBTQ+ community and to actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice.
Thank you, Angela, and everybody here at the board. We really appreciate the recognition and the words shared here. I think when you're doing the work, it's easy to see what still needs to be done, and there's a lot to be done, but we've also come a really long way, and we appreciate the recognition and visibility that this brings for us. But we really need to put more money into helping the LGBTQ community. At our resource center, we help people of all ages, but specifically people who are young adults, and they're struggling, and we're doing our best to help them. So I guess I would implore you to find some money for us. Thank you so much.
All right. Can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 12, 2022, and layover of May 26, 2022? Moved by Mr. Booker, second by Ms. Fellers. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to that motion? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. We have the consent agenda. May I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda for the raffle report and the auditor's report? Moved by Mr. Westcott, second by Mr. Salgado. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to the consent agenda this evening? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Number 8 are appointments. There are no appointments to be read in this evening. Number 9 is the reports of standing committees. Mr. Salgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one item tonight at our last Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. Schultz, first of all, for sitting in, running that one. It's an ordinance to amend budget for carpool fund, and this is to be laid over, but I'd like to suspend the rules and vote on this tonight.
Very good. Moved by Mr. Salgado to suspend, second by Mr. Hoffman. Is there any discussion on the suspension? Are there any board members opposed to the suspension? Very good. Cast it yes for all members present. Mr. Salgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'd like to move and approve ordinance to amend budget for carpool fund.
Moved by Mr. Salgado, second by Mr. Westcott. Any discussion on the amended ordinance?
Just real quick, reading off this, I wasn't at the meeting, but this is an increase of $9,000 in gasoline and oil, and $9,000 additional for automobile repair, and I want to say $37,000 for I believe your vehicle, Mr. Chairman, so, which equates to about $55,950.
Very good. Is any other board member discussion? Hearing none, are there any board members opposed to this amended ordinance? None. Please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. Salgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then finally, I apologize that I haven't been able to get back to you guys about ranking the different projects for Phase 4. I will continue to work with Mr. Rickard on this and get this out to you guys so you guys can start ranking those and maybe having the meeting when they come and present for those, so we know what those are and in accordance to what they're asking for. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Salgado. Next committee is the zoning committee. Mr. Webster. Thank you, Mr. Webster. Next is Economic Development Committee. Mr. Westcott. Oh, Mr. Sweeney's.
Good evening, Mr. Westcott's not feeling too well, and I've lost my voice, so I'm doing it anyway. Tonight we have a resolution granting authority to the Winnebago County Board Chairman to execute the documents necessary to complete a loan for $60,000 from the revolving loan fund to the Hemp Center of Northern Illinois, LLC, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Sweeney, second by Mr. McCarthy. Discussion, Mr. Sweeney, on your part?
No, sir.
Any board member discussion on this resolution? Ms. Gorel.
I would just like to know what it's for. I know it says hemp, but let us know what kind of industry.
Would you like to defer to Mr. Dornbush?
Mr. Dornbush.
Mr. Dornbush?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is for, the parts of the funds will go to the lease space, restaurant equipment, and operating capital. It's going over by Joseph's, and they're going to utilize, they're sharing the kitchen to utilize it at different times. And there's also our Artillery Wine is also a partner with that. So there's quite a few businesses involved with it, but just the two owners essentially on there, but shared services.
I believe that was Artali wine.
Thank you.
Not to be confused with Artili wine. Thank you. Any other board discussion on this resolution? Mr. Sweeney.
I guess I would just try to add that I'm glad to see the county supporting this, because I think the hemp industry once had a false negative stigma on it, and this is a good thing to support.
Very good. Are there any board members opposed to this resolution? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. Sweeney.
That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Operation Administrative Committee, Mr. Butita.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have two resolutions this evening. The first one being a resolution to amend the Winnebago County Emergency Rental Assistance Policy, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Butita, second by Ms. Fellers. Any discussion, Mr. Butita?
This is a resolution that will take the balance of the ERAP money and funnel it towards, or prioritize it towards eligible households facing eviction that are pending in the 17th Judicial Circuit Court.
Very good, thank you. Any board member discussion? Mr. Arena.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to let the board know that I did reach out to the Apartment Association and the Realtors. They both support this. This would be kind of the first step in winding the program down. So we're no longer going to be taking applications from the general public. Everything will be done through the court-driven assistance. So the courts are directing people to seek assistance before they move forward with an eviction action. And I also want to say for the record that I had abstained when we adopted this program, since I'm a housing provider, and I'll also be abstaining tonight as we wind it down.
Thank you, Mr. Arena. Any other board member discussion? Are there any board members opposed to this resolution? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. One abstention by Mr. Arena. Mr. Butita.
Okay, the second resolution is a resolution approving an RFQ for county construction project consultant. And I so move.
Moved by Mr. Butita, second by Mr. Webster. Mr. Butita, any discussion?
This resolution will authorize the county administrator to put out the RFQ and to hire a project consultant contingent on board approval.
Good. Board member discussion? Mr. Arena?
So, just so that all the board members who weren't present at operations are aware, this position would be somebody for the board to utilize. So they will report to the operations committee, and the purpose is for us to be able to better sort out the proposals, construction-related proposals that are brought to us, so that we can make better decisions in terms of costs for projects and the scope of projects, and hopefully make better decisions on how we allocate the ARP dollars. And I think the first major thing that we'll have this consultant help us with is the plan for the PSB. Very much in support of this.
Thank you, Mr. Arena. Mr. Webster?
Yeah, thank you. This will just help help us, because it'll make better sense to us, instead of just having construction things thrown at us that maybe we are not familiar with. Consultant can walk us through that and what makes sense on it and what doesn't. Perhaps.
Thank you, Mr. Webster. Any other board member discussion? Okay, are there any board members opposed to this resolution? Very good. Hearing none, please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. Butita.
That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Butita. Move on to Public Works Committee. Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Board members. Your Public Works Committee brings forth one resolution this evening. It's item 22-022. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of two intergovernmental grant agreements with the State of Illinois, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the intersection improvements at Guilford and Bell School Roads. I would move and speak to as well.
Mr. Tassoni moves to approve, second by Mr. Girl. Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman. This has been ongoing for upwards of 2 years now. It comes to us, these funds come to us by way of Senator Severson and Representative Sosnowski, which 1.2 million of this 1.6 will go towards the improvement of Guilford Road and Bell School. And we really didn't know it was coming. It came quick, so we had a special meeting tonight, and the additional 400,000 will be dispersed in the City of South Beloit, Village of Roscoe, Rockton, and Cherry Valley.
Very good. Any other board member discussion? Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just curious, Dave, was this on a high priority of the list that we have of capital road improvement projects?
I couldn't tell you where it stands on our list of prioritization on our CHAM or what. This is something the county's been wanting to do of upwards of 20 years. I can't tell you where it sits on that list. I just know it was something the senator and the representative wanted to find some funds for. It took 2 years, but it's here now. Can't tell you where it was on that timeline.
Carlos isn't here, I can.
No.
Thank you.
I can get back to you and let you know where that stood on there.
Eventually, thanks.
Mr. Webb.
For clarification, Mr. Tassoni, is this a pass-through?
No, $400,000 is a pass-through to the other communities, I recommend. $1.2 million, or 1.2 comes to the county for the improvements of Bell School and Guilford from the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board discussion? Are there any board members opposed to this resolution? All right, hearing none, please cast a yes for all members present. Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman. That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Tassoni. Public Safety and Judiciary Committee, Mr. Girl.
Thank you, Chairman. No report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Girl. Under unfinished business, we have one appointment. It's the Cherry Valley Fire Prevention District. Compensation is $4,500 annually. $375 per month with certification classes, and that's for Mr. Carl Erickson for a reappointment. Do I have a motion by Mr. McCarthy, a second by Ms. Crosby? Any discussion on this appointment? Hearing none. Are there any board members opposed to this appointment? Very good. Please cast a yes for all members present. New business. Is there any new business in front of the board this evening? Okay. Announcements and communications. Clerk Gamal.
Thank you, Chairman. The items listed below were received as correspondence. Just a reminder that property taxes are due tomorrow, Friday, June 10th. If you come downtown to pay your taxes, be sure to stop by and cast your vote for early voting, which is going on through June 27th in anticipation of the June 28th election.
Thank you, Clerk
Thank you,
Gamal.
Chairman.
Mr. Salgado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to thank the Women League of Voters for having the forum on River Bluff. Bring into light some concerns that I had with the referendum itself. And pretty much, in a nutshell, there's confusion on the River Bluff closing potentially and based on the referendum. I attended Tuesday night with Ms. Goro, the River Bluff Advisory meeting, and there's some concerns where there's been 12 people that have declined at this point in time to either enroll. Mr. Thompson was there as well. That have declined at this point in time to enroll in River Bluff based on the referendum questions, the advisory questions. So there is concern, but I just want that to highlight. Those were my concerns as well when it was being drafted. But I just want the whole county board to understand and to hear that from that perspective, what I'm hearing out there as well as from this advisory meeting that we had on Tuesday, that there is concern that right now folks are in limbo, trying to decide, what's direction the county wants to take with River Bluff. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. That was my concern as well when it was drafted. There is some question on the interpretation. So I'm glad that we had that forum on Wednesday with Ms. Crosby. I do appreciate that. I think it clarified a lot of misinterpretation or assumptions that are out there in the community. So I do appreciate that and, on that, but I just wanted the whole county board to know what's being relayed out there.
Thank you, Mr. Salgado. Yes, Ms. Goro.
Yesterday, Wednesday, yesterday. I don't know what day it is. We had, with the League of Women Voters, we had a luncheon, learn situation at 12 o'clock. And I want to thank both Jean Crosby and Jaime Salgado for the wonderful job that they did. And also at that time, we were asked about why would we go there when you might sell it? We don't want to move it.
Thank you, Ms. Goro. Mr. Arena.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During new business at our last meeting, there was a request made for the state's attorney to review our ethics ordinance. And the request is made at the, based on my activities for a organization that I'm a part of involving the General Assembly. So I wanted to take this opportunity to make it clear to the board and be on record of what my activities are, and because it's relevant to how we move forward. So I have with me tonight the Lobbyist Registration Act, and this is state law, and I am part of a organization called the Illinois Rental Property Owners Association, and in this statute, it defines a lobbying entity means any entity that hires, retains, employs, or compensates a natural person to lobby state, municipal, county, or township government as provided in subsection A. So the organization I'm part of does hire a contract lobbyist, not me, somebody else. The next section says authorized agent means the person designated by an entity or lobbyist registered under this act as the person responsible for submission and retention of reports required under this act. So I am the authorized agent for the Illinois Rental Property Owners Association. So what that means is I get emails from the state saying your report's due, you file the report, I get an email that says thank you for filing, here's a copy of your report, and if you forget to file, it's a reminder you didn't file. So that's my involvement as the authorized agent. I think it was implied that that position is more significant than it actually is. And the other role I play in this association is I write the position papers and I go to Springfield and at times provide expert testimony on subject matter before the General Assembly. That activity is also expressly permitted under this law, and it's expressly exempted from being required to register as a lobbyist. So my point is, by law, all my activities are legal and permitted. Now, the request was made to have the state's attorney look at our ethics ordinance and how my activities might conflict with our ethics ordinance, and that's fine, but now I've been made aware that a request has been made for outside counsel to review that with, I assume, the intent of changing our ethics ordinance to limit these activities. And the point I want to make is we're not a home rule county. In order to become a home rule county, we'd have to adopt the executive form of government, and the voters rejected that in the last election. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. So we can't create an ethics ordinance that limits these activities that are expressly permitted by the state. And for that reason, I want it to be known that it is an enormous waste of money to hire outside counsel to review this for that purpose. Now, I understand why the state's attorney may feel compelled to do it, just to limit any perception that there's something wrong going on. But again, I don't see how it can come to anything, and I think we should give careful consideration before we make these types of requests that just create a burden on the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arena. Any other announcements or communications? Ms. Fellers.
I'd like to take a moment to say hello to my grandparents, Tony and Betty Hardcastle, who watch every single one of our meetings. And the reason that I wanted to say hello to them tonight is that they just celebrated their platinum anniversary. They were married 70 years on Sunday, and so I wanted to give them a shout out to that and just say hello.
Congratulations. Very good, thank you. Any other communications or announcements from board members? I think there's a festival up in Rockton next week. Mr. Webster? Old Settlers Days.
Probably has become the biggest live music festival in the area. Really nothing any bigger than that around here. Also, Sunday, if you're not busy, go out to Durand for the car show. Memorial car show for one of the most well-known citizens of Durand, Glenn Matson. Everybody knew Glenn. Glenn fortunately passed away recently. So this will be a memorial car show to keep this up, what Glenn has done for about 23 years. Come on out and have some fun. Eats and chili shootouts and all kind of things. So.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Webster. All right. With that, Mr. Webster, a motion to adjourn by Mr. Webster, second by Mr. Sweeney. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. All right, not too bad. Could be better, but not too bad.